How's everybody doing?
Really good.
Good? Good. My name is Mr. Marsh, and I am your accountability advisor. So seeing as this is your first day at JCPS, since you've all gone through the GSKyTeach program, I'm here to talk to you about how to survive in your classroom, okay? Based upon accountability. Can someone tell me who we're held accountable to in our classrooms, in our districts?
The students.
The students, okay. Anybody else?
Teachers, parents.
Yeah, parents. Okay. Who else?
There's administrators, there's the taxpayers that are paying us.
Okay.
Other
Taxpayers.
Other teachers.
So you're held accountable to a lot of people. You're held accountable to a lot of people. So what I'm going to talk to you about and what we're going to go over is how you can survive this accountability and how accountability is assessed in the classroom. The first thing, I want to show you all a video about a teacher at JCPS who was talking to a parent about accountability and what their reaction was. Spoilers. I'm sorry. Not included. So you can see the teacher here talking to the parents about the exam. The parents' reaction to the teacher about what she said about her students' progress and performance in her class. So now we're going to talk about a teacher who was doing an assessment in his class, and we're going to look at a video about how the teacher was performing in class.
You stop talking when I tell you to stop talking! We've had a complaint from the teacher across the hall about how much noise you're doing. I've been too busy doing something. You've been getting out of hand here. You will settle down now, and you will stay that way. You're district class across the hall. So when I tell you to stop talking, that means stop whistling and stop acting like an idiot. Okay? You're in grade 10. Act like you're in grade 10.
Okay, so that was a teacher at your Jefferson County Public School giving an assessment for talking to students about their in-class exam, and they were being disrupted. So he's held accountable for that. All right, so I want to talk to you about how students are assessed in the classroom. I want to talk about the Kentucky Core Content Test, because this is what you're going to be using in your classrooms. The Kentucky Core Content Test is in its interim period right now through 2011, and then this new assessment will begin in 2012, which is when all y'all are starting. Students, when they take this assessment, when they take this exam, they are placed into 4 different categories. These categories are novice, apprentice, proficient, and distinguished. I don't know if y'all remember when y'all went to the schools yesterday, the principal was talking about how students were above a percentage of novice students. So what does that mean is what I want y'all to understand, and how students are fall into these different categories. So I want to put things in perspective for you for the types of schools that you're going to be working with. So there are 28 high schools in Jefferson County. There are 224 total high schools in the state of Kentucky. In 2010, the percent of proficient students for science, based upon this exam, the Kentucky Core Content Test, 5 out of the 10 lowest performing schools were in Jefferson County, out of all in the state, which is 224 high schools. There were also 3 of the 10 highest performing schools in the state for science. For mathematics, 4 of the 10 were the lowest performing schools in the state in Jefferson County, but also 4 out of the 10 highest performing schools We're in Jefferson County for the state. So you can see there's a broad spectrum of well-performing schools and low-performing schools. So what I'm going to give you now is a packet that talks about this Kentucky Core Content Exam, since it's what you're going to be using. I want you to look at the questions, and I want you to be able to see how what's involved in the test, how you can talk to parents about what's in the test. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to answer the questions. So I've broken it up into math and science. So if I could have my science teachers on one side of the room and my math teachers on the other side of the room. Math pretty much over there. Or maybe if science wants to just stay in this area, if you just wanted to.
Yeah, we should move over there.
You know why? Yes. So here is the So I'm going to go around, and if you have any questions about any of the questions that are involved in this packet, please let me know. I can kind of help you work through it so you can look and see some of the information you're going to need to know when you actually get into your school system tomorrow. Okay? Now, there was a problem with my printer this morning, so I tried to get a report for the school district that you're going to be looking at, each one of your individual reports. I'm going to pull it up here so you can kind of see what that report looks like, and I'll show you the website to where you can look at it later and look at the report for your school. So I think there's a question that talks about that. I just want to disregard that question. There's a lot of information there, so if you have any questions about where to find anything, just let me know. But you'll be using this information all throughout your 4 years at Jefferson County. So. So this is kind of what the report card looks like. You can, on the web, you can, at the Kentucky Department of Education, they have the report cards for every year for a specific school. So the school that you'll be placed in, you can find all the information about how the students have done in the past fiscal year. It's for one specific school. So you may want to look at that when you get home. Kind of look at the report for your school, try and get an assessment for the types of students you have, the demographic, how the students are going to be assessed, how well they're doing. I may have to share with them. I don't know if they're asking me. If you mind to share this part. I've also given you sample questions from the exam that you're going to be giving to your students, and I want you to look at those and kind of see how you're going to be assessing how your students are doing in your class for your specific topic, which is science and math. There are also different descriptions of students who are novice learners in math and students who are novice learners in science, so you want to look at those definitions. You're going to want to look at which grade you're going to be responsible for. So since y'all are in high school, you're going to want to look at the assessments for grade 11. So that's when they assess the math and science scores for this consecutive content, core content exam. Yeah, the numerical actually is just how if you look at the parents guide, it gives you a better understanding of how they're presenting their student density. There's the scale. So if you're interested in how a student numerically is assessed as a novice learner, if you look at the parents guide, it gives you a definition of how a student is defined as being a novice or a distinguished learner. So disregard question 3 because that's the report card for your school. Since I think they were printed out of those, just move on to question 4. You're right. If you haven't gotten to question 4 yet, go ahead and move on to question 4. We'll go over the other points. If you don't have your textbook then the second one. You only have to pick one of the questions from the exam. I'll get both of them as well. You don't have to know the answer to the question if you're worried about that on the exam. Just know whether it's a good question to assess your students. Those are from, I'm not sure if those are from the 11th grade exactly, but I know they use those to assess students in Kentucky. Or it's a 1999 report, test that they released. So, but it is for that. It is for specifically for the math part of the exam and science.
We're looking at these, right?
Yes. So take about 1 more minute to kind of think about those questions on there. We'll discuss those for a second. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our pencils down, talk about kind of what we determined based on the materials I gave you. I know it's a lot of information, but I want to make sure you had all the information you needed when you left our session today to be able to know how students are assessed in the Kentucky school system. So, all right, so let's first start with what a novice learner is in science. Brandon, what did you determine a novice learner is in science? How are they classified? Yes.
Basically, they demonstrate a minimal knowledge of the science content
Okay.
by the core standards.
Okay. What type of, how is a novice student in science, what's their grade look like as far as points are concerned on the exam?
1100 to
1100 to 1120. Okay. So you may have parents that come to you and ask you why their student is a novice learner, and that's really important to know kind of the scale that a novice learner falls into, and how, what a novice learner is expected to know or may not know. What about a novice learner in math? What do you think? What would a novice learner be expected, or let me do it, distinguished learner in math, what would they be expected to know?
They would need the vocabulary and terminology to deal with concepts. They need to have problem-solving strategies. They need correct solutions.
Okay, great. What kind of scale do they fall into as far as numerically? You might figure that out.
So over 40.
Over, yeah.
Above 1140.
About 1140, okay, as far as that's concerned. Okay, what symbol do they use to show a student's grades on the KCC exam? Did everybody catch that?
The diamond.
The diamond, okay. So say that one more time.
This is the diamond surrounded by a bar.
The diamond surrounded by a bar.
The point of the diamond indicates the score that the student earned. The bar is the score range.
Okay. And what's the range based on? What's that?
Was that the 80-point scale?
They say exactly what it is there.
The range of scores the student would have likely have received if he, she had taken the same test or a different version test on another day.
So if they had taken the exam on a different day, that's the range of their possible score. Based on that.
Error bar, I get that.
An error bar, okay. All right, well, I know there's a lot of information there, a lot to digest. I just want to give you some basic questions to understand how to look at that information and go about determining, when parents come to you and ask you how their kids are doing in your class, how to begin to tell them how they're assessed and based upon the grades they made, how that showed what they learned in your class. So what I'm going to do now, what we're going to do is we're going to have a debate. One side of the class is going to debate for the parents' argument for coming into class. The other side is going to be the teacher's argument. I'm going to give you a specific issue. What you're going to do is you're going to have 30 seconds to think about the issue, write down your thoughts, and then you're going to debate against the other person in the class. And you'll have 1 minute to debate the point. So if I could have Brandon, Matthew, Katie, and Taylor on one side of the room, and Katie, Adrian, John, and Kevin on the other side. You're on that side.
Oh, hang on.
Wait, I was just gonna say me and Katie switched.
Oh, that worked. Well, I'm debating John.
Oh.
That was really personal.
Yeah, so Brandon, Matthew, Katie, and Taylor on one side, and then Katie, Adrian, John, and Kevin on the other side. Try and be in line with this table so you can. So give each person 1 minute to answer their 1 minute to, don't address their comments in your debate until they've had a full minute to express what they thought. Okay, so don't interrupt anybody. I'm going to give you an issue. So Brandon and Katie, you're going to have the first issue, and you're going to have to debate that issue, okay? So as I said, you'll have 30 seconds to write down or contemplate the issue. You will then have 1 minute to present your argument to the class. And it's only Brandon and Katie, so for the next one. Okay. Issue number 1. Ken just brought home his KCCT report card and found out that he would have done better on the exam if he had taken it on a different day. How would you handle this situation as his parent and as his teacher? So think about the issue. Write down your ideas. Okay. 30 seconds. Okay, so let's go with the parents' argument first.
Okay, so if you could have done better on a different day, why did you test him on that day? What did you do to affect the classroom on that day that maybe caused him to get higher anxiety on this assessment? Also, that's about all.
How do you even know that the student would have done better? I mean, the student could have done worse. It's an average. So, and then all the students took the test on the same day, and that's fair.
Okay. All right. So, as we talked about, there is a range in that diamond that tells you, a student might have done better or worse on a specific day. Is there anyone who wants to add to the arguments of the parents or the teacher?
An argument for the teacher is just that the student knew about it prior.
Okay.
So planning.
I think the argument to be had is on the statistical level. How is that range determined? Is it simply a statistical range about that number and it's going to be fixed for everyone who gets that number, or is there some indicator of the test that determines that they did well in these problems, that meant they had the capabilities and for some reason they blanked on these questions? And I think that's the level at which the argument should take place.
Okay. So, Matthew and Adrian. So here is the issue. Michael went home and told his parents that you were teaching a subject that you didn't get your degree in, and that's why he did so poorly on his KCCT exam. How do you handle this as his parent and as his teacher? Yes,
Yeah,
you're
you're
there.
there.
Okay, so since we started with the parent side last time, we'll start with the teacher side this time. So Adrian.
Just because I don't have a degree in that area, does not mean that I am not certified to teach it. Actually, I have a minor in that area, so I know it at the level at which I'm required to teach it in public high school.
That's nice. Can you in some way show, I mean, then why is my student doing poorly? What's the problem? And we're making it really into that, but I mean, that's the level I think parents should take it at. You know, why are you teaching that class would be another question. Why isn't someone who has that degree, or, you know, how many other teachers in the department have that degree? How do they determine who teaches which classes? Do the ones with degrees teach the upper level classes? Do they have some system for that?
And the reason I bring this up is you're going to be teaching physics, right? And your degree is in
Electrical engineering.
okay. So that may be an argument that comes up. I mean, what y'all think about?
Well, I was thinking this kind of issues have assumptions, and if everyone else in the class is understanding the material and stuff, then that could be an argument for it.
I don't think
As
that's
a teacher.
okay.
I would like to point out that it was the student that took the test and not the teacher. That it was the student responsible for learning the knowledge, not the teacher. Granted, the teacher needs to present it where the student can understand.
And if the
But
majority,
still, it's an assessment of the student, not the teacher.
but if the majority of the students maybe don't understand it.
Yeah, but if it's just.
Okay, if it's just one
student.
I agree. But
We're going to move on, so we got sorry, close to time, it's okay. All right, so. All right, Katie and Don. The parents and the teachers. Parker just came home and told his parents that he didn't want to take his KCCT exam today because he was too hungry. But his teacher made him take the exam anyway. How would you handle this as a teacher and as a parent? Okay, let's start with the parents' argument first. Start with Teacher Johnson.
Hey, I am working my fingers to the bone here.
Wait. Oh, we're going to start with the
I'm
parents.
a teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, you're the teacher.
Ooh, bummer.
Okay, we'll let her go ahead. Go ahead.
You know that Parker has an issue with keeping his mind occupied when he's hungry, and so I sent him with snacks for testing, and I specifically sent a letter asking you if you could let him eat snacks before or on breaks during the assessment so that he could stay focused on the test instead of his hunger.
Yes, but we have got to keep standards, and everybody else didn't have snacks to bring. We have a school breakfast program. We made sure that he had breakfast that morning. But, you know, we have to keep everything on an even playing field if we're going to test all students.
Anybody want to add to that?
well, actually, when I took my standardized test in Missouri, they actually provided snacks to all students.
Yes.
A cooler of water, crackers, some unhealthy snacks. So while you're taking tests, you can eat it.
Sounds like a great time.
Okay.
Man,
Yeah,
we got
that's-
cheated.
We're going to move on real fast to issue number 4. Okay. So everybody knows what okay. All right. Mike just came home again and told his parents that the new KCCT exam is a brand new exam and isn't a good exam to test his math skills. What do you do as a parent and as a teacher? Okay, start with the teacher side first.
Alright, well, the test is designed to test the concepts that are learned every year. So if the student knows the concepts, they should do well in the exam.
Say it's a new test and hasn't been tested properly and doesn't necessarily assess what it should have been. If my son is obviously very knowledgeable with his math skills, it's not properly assessing them.
You want to add anything?
Yeah, but if it's a new test, we don't know if it's assessing or not. We got to give it time to see.
But see, that's a bad argument, I think, because it should have actually been tested somewhere, somehow. Yeah, I mean, I think this is assuming that the test exam has already gone through testing.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is, you know, you as a parent are making the argument that it's not testing your student skills. We don't know until we test them and see how it evaluates out. Feel good at that?
Well, but I see what you're saying, but I'm saying like the test that they gave, I mean, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's gone through research and everything when it was prepared.
Yeah, so in other words, I'm saying that, obviously.
Well, that's a question that you have to ask yourself. What is the research that's been done on this exam? That's something that as a teacher, when you're going into Jefferson County Public Schools, you need to know that information. Because parents are going to come to you with these types of arguments and say, it's brand new, what's wrong with the CAT system, why did they get rid of it? Those are important things that parents are going to come to you about. And just like the other arguments that the parents and teachers made, they're going to come to you with things that you're going to be held accountable for. And the reason I brought up this debate is because I want you to see it from the parents' angle. I want you to see how they're viewing things and how they can come to you with an argument and how to, you know, what you're going to need to know to get to not look like you're an idiot, essentially. So, in the end, how do you keep from getting the question to fix? Like you saw that.
Duck.
Okay.
This is what you need to know.
Okay. So you need to be aware of the standards and prepare yourself. So what are the standards for JCPS? The state exam, JCKyTeach. Okay. You need to be aware of what the standards are, what types of questions are going to be on these exams. Like I gave you before, the questions that are in there, those are the types of questions you're going to see. You'll be expected to know and to do more. If it's not in if your degree is not in your specific field you're going to be teaching, it said that you might be teaching physics if you're a chemist, or vice versa if you're a physicist and you're going to be teaching chemistry. So you're going to be expected to know more than maybe what your degree is in. And you must be well informed of the strengths and weaknesses of standardized testing. When you see that range of scores for taking an exam on a different day, you need to know why there is that range of scores. What does it mean? Does it really mean if the student would take the test tomorrow that he would get a different score? You need to understand what that means if you're going to be able to discuss those issues with parents. So these are my references.